Welcome to the Centre Circle podcast, the new home of West Midlands football. Thanks for tuning in and please like and subscribe.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 20 of the Centre Circle podcast, the new arm of West Midlands football. Joining me today, we've got regular panel members Alex and Sam. How you doing, guys?
Oh, not too bad.
Fantastic, thank you, yeah.
Good to have you back. Right, coming up on today's show then, we've got 3 items on the agenda. First and foremost, in the previous videos, you'll have seen that me and guest Mark went through our end of season awards. The guys are going to be giving their take on their end of season awards as well on the same subjects. We're going to be reviewing Gareth's 33-man provisional squad and giving our 7 players that should not make the cut and our reasons for this. And then we will obviously look forward to this Saturday's big all-English encounter between Man City and Chelsea and give our final predictions and thoughts on the game. So first and foremost, we will just wrap up on the end of season. So there were 6 awards to be dished out. The awards that we've got are Match of the Season, Sign of the Season, Player of the Season, Manager of the Season, Flop of the Season, and Underdogs of the Season. Just to remind everybody of what my selections were in a previous video. Match of the Season, I went for Spurs 3, West Ham 3. Sign of the Season, I went for Emiliano Martinez at Aston Villa. Player of the Season, I went for Harry Kane. Manager of the Season, I did go for Thomas Tuchel. Flop of the Season, I went for Aubameyang. And Underdogs of the Season, I went for Leicester City. So I want to come to you first, Sam. I want your Match of the Season.
Yeah, I think I got 2 actually. The bog standard one's obviously the Villa Liverpool game, which I think most people say match of the season. But for me, as a West Brom fan, it's the 5-2 demolition of Chelsea. I think it was a good match for neutrals. I think there's some great goals involved. I appreciate what Villa did at Liverpool, but I think Chelsea are a stronger side than Liverpool. And for West Brom, who are now relegated, to go and do that, I think it's a fantastic result, and that was my match of the season.
Signing of the season?
Ruben Diaz, without a shadow of a doubt for me. I think he's been key to Man City's title charge. I think if Ruben Diaz wasn't there, I think they would have struggled. Well, I don't know, actually, because it's been a poor, apart from when Chelsea picked up and Liverpool picked up at the end, it's been poor. But yeah, Ruben Diaz, quite comfortably.
Player of the season?
Ruben Diaz, again. Follows. I think he's been fantastic.
Manager of the season?
Marcelo Bielsa. I think he's been fantastic with that Leeds team. I don't think he gets enough credit. They're always seen as a team that will flop or run out of energy. Well, they haven't, have they? They've been absolutely fantastic, and in fact, probably ended the season stronger than they started. I think he's been brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, one of the points of someone brought up to me the other day is they actually, even though they've come up and only finished 9th, they actually scored more points than what we did in our 2 consecutive 7th place finishes. So, yep, full credit.
Squeeze that in somewhere.
Full credit to Bielsa and the boys, because they've copped for it for long parts of the season. You know, they've run a lot, they've done this, they've done that, but you know, they've backed it up on the pitch. And I think with the crowd back in next season, they probably could potentially kick on. Flop of the season?
Thomas Partey, I think, for Arsenal. Honourable mentions for Nathan Ake as well. I think he cost City a lot of money. When Ake plays, City don't win, unfortunately. But Partey was come in. He was meant to do a job, wasn't he? I don't think he has in that Arsenal team.
And finally, Underdogs of the season.
West Ham, I think, for me. Just an honourable mention on Player of the Season as well. Have we done Signing of the Season? Yeah. I'd like Rafinha in there as well. I think Rafinha's an absolute unbelievable talent. But yeah, Underdog West Ham. I think they've done really well to qualify for Europa League in the end, but they've done fantastic.
Yeah, big up Moes and the boys. I thought on Player of the Season then you was going to give a shout out to Gundogan, because you've championed him for years on end. I know you have. Even when he was at Dortmund, you spoke highly of him. So yeah.
It's funny with Gundogan. He can't play when he doesn't play as well when De Bruyne plays, does he? I don't think, because I think he plays in the more defensive positions. It's a weird one with Gundogan, actually. When De Bruyne comes back, Gundogan doesn't get the headlines as much.
So on to you then, Alex. Your match of the season?
The less said about this, the better. It's got to be the Villa-Liverpool game. And that's coming from me. But I'd like to move on.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, I can second that. Signing of the season?
Martinez, isn't it?
Agreed.
The amount of clean sheets he's kept, I think Villa probably would have struggled without him. And from what Villa fans are saying, I mean, he's kept them in games this season, and they probably would have been, well, I wouldn't say struggling again at the bottom end, but because I haven't watched all their games, but from what Villa fans say, he's saved them a few times this season, so I'll say him.
Yep, so that's 2 for Diaz and 2 for Martinez there. Player of the season?
Ruben Diaz, gotta be. He just come in and he's just, it took like a duck to water. It was the same with Laporte when he came in, but he's just, I mean, he's just cemented the defence, hasn't he? And they've kind of won the league without a striker, really, haven't they? And it's probably all down to him.
Manager of the season?
Moisey.
Yeah, fair show.
Their season like last season.
I think unlike other seasons, I think there's been quite a few candidates this season. I think you've obviously got Moyes. I think up until the last day, you could have said Rodgers, but he still fetched a major trophy. Obviously, Pep at the top of the shop could bring a treble home. Tuchel, the way he's turned around Chelsea.
Tuchel, but he hasn't been there. Tuchel hasn't been there long enough for me.
Very close to being a disaster for Chelsea as well, isn't it? Like they're quite lucky to qualify in the end, actually.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think when actually I did submit my initial thought, there were obviously it was a couple of days. They've got an FA Cup final. They were third in the league, and they'd met the Champions League final. So, on paper, there, considering they were ninth in the league when he took over, they were in tatters. I think the way he's turned them round, I think he deserves absolutely massive credit. I keep saying it. Anyone that's willing to listen, I think they're going to be banging there next season. I think they'll be right up there, and I think they'll be City's closest challengers. Moving on to flop of the season. This can be anything. It can be club. It can be a player. It can be anything.
Oh, if we can have clubs, I'm going to say Sheffield United. It's got to be last season. They've just died, haven't they? They'll probably go down again next season as well. I'm calling it now.
Interesting. We will be doing a pre-season preview, probably end of July, start of August, and our best bets for the season as well. Underdogs of the season.
Probably West Ham. No one expected that, did they?
Absolutely not.
She literally come from nowhere. It has to be. I mean, did you say Leicester?
Yeah.
Not really underdogs, are they?
I think to win a major trophy, I think to win a major trophy and probably for long periods of the season, they were fighting well up there in the top 3. They fell out again towards the end of the season, but the base of their squad is just, it's the envy of most clubs in that division, really. The way that they obviously won a title. They lost their 2 best players in Kante and Mahrez, and they've gone again. They've managed to recycle. They've still attracted a big name manager. They're a fantastically run club. Again, the envy of most clubs. So yeah, good luck to them. So yep, that's the end of season awards then mocked up from the lads. Onto the next controversial subject, which is probably going to ruffle a few feathers with a few people's selections here. We've got the England 33-man provisional squad, which was announced by Gareth Southgate on Tuesday, I believe, was it? I'm not going to run you through the squad because I'm going to put up a graphic here which will allow you to have a look at the players that are there. But we've obviously got 4 goalkeepers. One of them's obviously going to get cut. Which would you be cutting?
Ramsdale. I'm an Albion fan, but I think Sam Johnson's the better goalkeeper, so Ramsdale, he's had a better season.
Yeah, I've gone Ramsdale as well, yeah.
Ramsdale as well. I think that was a pretty easy selection, really.
It's 1 to 20. Sam Johnson is to go as well, so I think it's pretty nailed.
So that leaves us 6 outfield players that we've got to shuffle out of the squad. Should we go through one by one, or should we just go?
Are we doing like positions, or
should we start defence? Makes sense to me. I've got 3. I want to boot in defence.
3. Yeah, I'm ditching three defenders, and then I'm ditching 2 midfielders and a forward.
Yep, same. Shall I start?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
You might. I don't know whether you might not like this one, but I think you'll find it's fair. Connor Cody, I wouldn't take. I don't think. Ben White, I think he's in there just because he's in there. He's had a great season, but I don't think he'll be anywhere near it. And here's the big one people might not like, Trippier. I wouldn't say Trippier. I know he's won the La Liga with Atletico Madrid, but I'm not sure what he adds to the squad. I think Kyle Walker's a great right back. Reece James can cover centre back and right back in a 3. And then Trent, something about Trent. I know he's not had the best season, but I think he offers more than Kieran Trippier, so I wouldn't take Trippier. We don't need 4 right backs.
I think the thing with Trippier though, he can take free kicks and he can play left back as well, and he's got the experience. So Trippier's in mine.
It's in mine.
He's in mine.
The defenders I'm ditching: Ben White, Ben Godfrey, and Reece James.
What?
I think that might be what happens.
The reason why I am ditching Reece James is because, as Sam's already touched on it, we don't need 3 right backs. I think that Kyle Walker and Trent are your selections there. I understand that there's probably a scenario where Kyle Walker may go in at centre half if Harry Maguire's not fit. But Trent, for me, I just think he's got a better pedigree at this moment in time than Reece James. He's got big game experience, and I mean big game. He's played Champions League final, he's won a league title, he's played numerous times for England, he's played an international tournament. People can point to he's not the best defensively, but I think if you're playing in a 5 with Trent, I think that can be accommodated for. So I would get rid of Reece James on that basis because Kieran Trippier can play a left back. We've obviously got 2 left backs already in there. But I just think with that versatility, you don't know what's going to happen in tournament football. He probably offers a little bit more, again, with tournament experience. So the 3 I'd be ditching from the back would be White, Godfrey, and James.
I'm just Cody and White. I mean, I've got Saka in there.
Saka's on mine, but I think he's listed down as a midfielder, so Saka would be getting ditched for me as well. So
I'm taking a lot of fullbacks.
I think Connor Cody, I think that's an interesting selection, really. I mean, I'll admit, I've watched him 38 games this season. He ain't good enough to play for England. But I think that if you're ditching Connor Cody, you're really leaving yourself thin.
I think Ben Godfrey's better than Connor Cody.
Better than Connor Cody.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd probably have White. I'd have Ben White over Connor Cody as well, to be honest.
I think the one selection that's all, I think if Lewis Dunk was in there, I'd be getting rid of Connor Cody in a heartbeat.
I mean, we shouldn't really have Tyrone Mings in there, should we, really? I mean, Ezri Konsa is better than Tyrone Mings.
I was dying to get rid of Mings, to be honest.
That's not me being anti-Villa. Konsa is a better defender. I think most Villa fans would agree with you at this point.
Yeah.
I think with Mings, I think if you are going to a 5, he's probably the only candidate that could play as a left centre-back.
But that's why Ben White, because he plays on the left, doesn't he? But that's why I was torn between Ben White and Godfrey, just for that reason. I think he's left-sided, Ben White.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Don't actually know. Don't know. Okay, so we've obviously all declared our hand with Saka. So I've only got 2 selections left. You've obviously got 3, Alex. So do you want to reel us off your next 2? Because I'm assuming that you got 2 midfielders in there.
Well, I don't know what's classed as midfielders and attackers these days, to be honest. As well, Prowse. See you later.
I'm with you. Yeah.
We don't need him.
I've actually kept him.
What, 'cause he's a dead ball
Free
specialist?
kicks.
I've actually kept Ward-Prowse because I've omitted another player. I've omitted Jesse Lingard.
He's not in form. I'll give you that about Lingard.
The reason what does Jesse Lingard bring to this team that between Mason Mount, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, what does he bring?
Experience.
It's true. He started off though, hasn't he? I read a thing because he was better because he's played less games than everyone else, but he's caught up now and he's not really done it last couple of games, has he?
A good 3 months does not deter a terrible 2.5 years for me. I think he's just played well in a comfortable atmosphere. He's excelled. I think Ross Barkley's done it in patches over the years as well when they've moved somewhere new. He did it at Villa at the start of the season. He was playing out of his skin. I expect Dele Alli will probably follow the same mould when he eventually leaves Spurs. They'll go somewhere. They'll have a decent few months. Theo Walcott's done it as well over the years. When they get a move to somewhere a bit more comfortable and less demanding, they play better football. And I think that's all you're getting out of Lingard at the moment. I just don't see a scenario where he starts. And I also don't see a scenario where in a game you look to your bench and you think, you know, I'm going to chuck Jesse Lingard on. I just don't see it. That's why
I agree, but I'm Lingard's biggest hater, but it's hard to ignore. For those 3 months, he was so good, and I think he has done enough to be there. And you want someone like him rather. Ward-Prowse goes, he's not getting a game. You don't look at the bench and bring Ward-Prowse on, do you? I'd rather have Jesse Lingard. Yeah, he doesn't offer you much. He's a boring player. Taking out those 3 months where he was incredible. Not Ward-Prowse, unless Ward-Prowse isn't going to play. Even if he goes, he's not going to play. Yeah, we can say about his free kicks, but you've got to be playing to whip decent free kicks in. I actually said the other day, a good combination would be Grealish diving, getting the free kicks, Ward-Prowse whipping them in, but none of those are in my starting 11. It would be a great tactic, but they're not in my starting 11. So
I've only got one left to declare.
Mate. Ollie Watkins for me, and I like Ollie Watkins.
Ollie
but
Watkins.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he's going to play, to be honest. I'm pretty sure he's not going to play, actually.
I've sacked Ollie Watkins off. I don't think you need that many strikers. Yeah.
I like Ollie Watkins. I think he's had a fantastic season, but he's not had the experience, and he's not going to play ultimately. If you're going to bring someone off the bench in strike position, it's probably going to be Calvert-Lewin, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I think Calvert-Lewin covers a bit more than what Watkins does in terms of, I think, runs in behind that Watkins can produce. You can get that from the wingers. You've got interchangeable strikers in there. You've got players like Sterling and Rashford that can easily go through the middle for short patches in games. Calvert-Lewin offers something a bit more different. I'm not saying that I'd prefer him in my team, if we were to sign one player this summer. But what I mean is that for this international tournament, you need that versatility. I think that what Calvert-Lewin brings to this squad is different to any other player. So on that basis, I would give Calvert-Lewin the nod. So yeah, just to recap mine, I've got rid of Ramsdale, Ben White, Ben Godfrey, Reece James, Lingard, Saka and Watkins.
I think I was on mute. Ramsdale, Cody, White, Ward-Prowse, Trippier, Saka and Watkins.
I'm going to change my mind and contradict everything I've just said. Everything I've just said. Because I'm having a look. And I'm going to look like a right idiot now. Let me just think about it. I'm going to have to drop Jesse Lingard. Because I was dropping Greenwood. But we don't need Jesse Lingard. We've got too many players in that position. Mason Mount or people who can play behind the striker. We've got too many of them. We don't need him as well. I know I'm taking Greenwood, but he's more of a striker. And if I'm not taking Ollie Watkins, then he can play up front if need be, which we won't need players on the right. And I think we need someone else over on the right. So I'm going to drop Jesse Lingard as well. So my 7 are Ramsdale, Cody, White, Prowse, Lingard, Saka, Watkins. Is that the same as anything?
Yeah. I'm really pleased that we've all kept Mason Greenwood in. I'm really pleased about that.
What a talent.
I love Greenwood. I think even if he's not playing well, he's finishing. He can just score from nowhere. And you don't get that with Lingard there.
No doubt about it. All right. And obviously, since the last time you come on, Sam, one of the big talking points is, we've gone in depth about obviously Wolves the other day, myself. One of the under the radar things is obviously the fact that Big Sam's obviously walked from the Hawthorns, or rather not renewed his contract, rather, because he was obviously ever contracted to the end of the season. We've heard mutters in and around that Chris Wilder's sort of been mooted for the role. Looks as though it's gone a little bit cold now. Is there anyone that you want in that role?
Yeah, Chris Wilder, and it sounds like it's happening. So about a couple of hours ago, a Mirror journalist tweeted saying it's closed. It's gone to like 1 to 6 now, Sky Bet, which obviously means nothing because I'm sure Tim Sherwood was 1 to 10 and we appointed Alan Irvine a couple of years back, which was a disaster. But Wilder, and a lot of fans don't want Chris Wilder, but I don't know why. I think they base it on one bad season. I think he's been absolutely fantastic wherever he's been. I think Northampton, Sheffield United, he took them both up the leagues, didn't he? He had a fantastic season last year with what's a real average Sheffield United team. All right, he might not be the best with money, but he's not going to get loads of money at West Brom. And I think we work under a different model in that he'd have to go through he wouldn't be responsible for transfers, basically. I think he's passionate. He hates the Villa, which is fantastic. And I think he'll get us promoted. I really do think he'll get us promoted. It'll be interesting to see what he does, because he doesn't naturally play with that many wingers, and we've spent most of our money on wingers. So it'd be interesting to see whether he can accommodate them. But I think it'd be fantastic for us. And I think we'd be firm favourites to go up if we appointed Wilder. I think he's got a track record. He's got experience in the Championship. He's done it with Sheffield United. I'm all in favour of it. A lot of fans wanted Frank Lampard. I'm not sure why. He's okay. He did an all right job at Derby, did an all right job at Chelsea, but out of the two, I think Wilder's got more experience. I think Wilder's the man that we need at the club at the moment. So I'm hoping it goes through, actually. On reflection about Big Sam, I was a bit disappointed at the time, because I thought it was going to be an indication of our transfer budget. The sounds are that it's actually not, and we are going to have a little bit to spend. We might have to sell, but it might be good for the club after all that Sam doesn't stay on next year, because he's not committed. He wouldn't do 2 seasons, I don't think. I think he's pigeonholed himself as a kind of an escape artist now, and I think he wants to keep with that. So, I'll be delighted if we get Wilder over the line.
I think that'd be a class appointment. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, 100%. Better than Lampard. If you get the Lampard, it's more of a rebuild, isn't it? You're looking at 2 to 3 years. You don't want that. You want to get straight back up. Be a yo-yo team, fun, innit? No point in rotting away for 3 years or 10 like us. Just be going up and down.
I said all along, I thought that'd be a class appointment if you was to get Wilder in. I think going back down to the Championship, you need that stability, but it's not necessarily, he's not going to sit there and just stabilise you as a top 8, top 6 club again. I think he's already proven he's got the pedigree to get you back playing again. And I think the big thing for you this summer is player retention. The one player that you're pretty consigned to losing, I think you think he's obviously Matthias Pereira. And there's rumours that he's going to be going not far up the road as well.
I can't see it personally, and if he did, I'd hope we'd milk him for every penny that he's worth. I'd rather go to Leicester. Why wouldn't you go to Leicester? I know they've just made a signing, haven't they, from Lille? But Europa League football, why not go to Leicester? I hope we get the best price we can, and we shouldn't be taking anything less than 30 to 35 million for him if Buendia is worth 40 million or whatever it is. He's done more than Buendia in the Premier League. I don't get this Buendia hype. Matthias Pereira has done more than Buendia in the Premier League. So why shouldn't we sell for 40 million? And people will pay it, I think. People will pay at least 30, I think.
I'm going to go on record on this podcast right now. I will do a topless podcast if Matthias Pereira gets sold for over £30 million.
Oh, I'll take that all day then. Fine.
I agree. I might not go topless, but I don't think you'll get over 30 mil for him.
I think we'll get more than 20. I think 25 is what. I think I'm confident more than 30. If Buendia is going for 40, they reckon. Matthias Pereira is 30. I think what's shocking, and we'll touch on this later, is that you're prepared to let Ruben Neves go for 35 million. I can't believe that's going to happen.
Who's reported this? We're not. Okay, let's be honest, right? We're not on this podcast to start shitting on journalists, right? But the individual that's reported this has had an agenda against this club now for for quite some time since he's not been given access to certain areas of the club. And to be quite honest, I don't see. I don't see us selling Neves for that kind of money. I just don't. There's rumours spilling around that he's only got 2 years left on his deal. Confirmed by the club that that's not correct. He's still got 3 years left on his deal. The club released a fans Q&A session with the board on YouTube a couple of days ago. Refreshing to watch. The club explain the reasonings behind selling players like Diogo Jota, why Matt Doherty was moved on, and the fact that, deep down, we're all here panicking about funds, but we've come out of a season in the Championship where we was on a £55 million loss because, yes, we did throw the book at it to get out the league, justified. But when we're going into a financial fair play with, we're signing up to UEFA rules, that 3-year period, we've got a season in the Championship factored into that. We were nailed on financial fair play due to the fact that we obviously had to have a reduced squad in that Europa League period. And there's obviously also a profit and sustainability that the Premier League make you adhere to as well. You can't keep throwing money at it season in, season out. There's all this.
Aston Villa that.
Well, we've already heard, we've had reporters coming out and Dean Smith himself coming out saying that it's not going to be a big summer for Aston Villa this year. People, reporters can go around saying that, financial fair play has been relaxed. It hasn't been relaxed. It hasn't. Perhaps short term because of COVID, but it's not being abolished at all. An iteration of this will rear its head through football. You have to have a break even over a 3-year period. Obviously, the first 2 seasons that we came up, we spent large amounts of money. Last year, we had a £4 million net spend. Our books over a 3-year period now will show that obviously moving forward, we have got that long-term sustainability as a club. We are going to be able to start spending again soon. We're not in a position to start paying fines and start paying people off with, brown envelopes. That just is not our style. That's not how the club's going to be run. We might have to sell to buy. I think the thing is, I'm under no illusion that we're a selling club.
Yep.
There's probably 2 or 3 clubs in this country that aren't selling clubs.
I'd agree.
You think that because you've got massive and rich owners that they're not running it as a business. At the end of the day, we signed Diogo Jota and we made near north of £30 million on him. So why wouldn't you sell him? The guy's reached pretty much everything he can at Wolves. We've got the best out of him. He's never going to achieve anything more. Send him on to Liverpool. Yes, you can point to the fact that he's thriving, but look at the players he's playing with.
I think he'll achieve more than what he achieved at Wolves at Liverpool. I think he's a great player.
Now, what I mean is that I think that he'd reached his peak at Wolves. He couldn't have got any better, could he?
He was too good for the club, wasn't he? Unfortunately, he was too good for the club. And I think Neves might be the same. It wouldn't surprise me if Neves goes to Liverpool. I really think he's going to fill the Genie Wijnaldum hole. I think
if we sold him for less than £40 million, I'd be massively disappointed.
Is he a Mendes guy?
He was signed through the agency, yeah.
Yeah, because I think with Mendes, I just think you're kind of tied into what Mendes wants, unfortunately. And if he wants your client to go, then they'll go. I think that's one bad thing about having Mendes. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes, but we'll see.
There's loads of people that say that Mendes runs the club, but another thing that the club were quick to point out, it's just that Foss and the owners have a 20% stakehold in George Mendes' agency company. And that's where the link is. We're not tied down to working with just George Mendes. We work with numerous amounts of agents. Yes, he's a big part in a lot of the signings that we do, but we are free to pretty much work with whoever we want and sign whoever we want. We look at the players that we've signed over the years, and I think it's been a massive success. Players like Pedro Neto, players like Fabio Silva, they're players that are obviously 20 years or younger. We're going to make massive money on these players in years to come. Massive money.
Do you think you'll make massive money on Fabio Silva?
I think so, 100%. I think for a player at 18 years old, he's come into the league. He's scored, 5 goals this season. Doesn't sound like a lot, but I think when you factor in that he's an 18-year-old lad, he's come over to the country, barely knows the language, didn't even have a pre-season, just thrown into a team that obviously was on its, it was on its knees at the time. I think he's done exceptionally well, and his play has improved massively in the past 3 or 4 months of the season. I see something in there. I really do. It may not be reflective on the pitch at the moment, but I think just the little things, his movement, his touch, his awareness, as he gets older, he's only going to get better for me.
Yeah, I'm not doubting he's a bad player, but I don't know whether you'll make massive money on it because you paid quite a lot for him in the first place.
Actually, 40.
35.
35.
I think that's just his age, though, as well. I think it's just his age. We know we've got a massive summer ahead, but I think all our clubs have. I think we look at our clubs, I think you've got a massive summer, and I definitely think that you boys at St Andrews have got a massive summer as well.
Who's your moment? Do you think, is it Sunjic? No, not Sunjic, Alan Halilovic. Do you think will he come back to Blues?
Yeah, he'll there's been rumours. I think he'll stay on. He should be signing in the next week or so, apparently.
There's another one on Football Manager who's really good. He was years ago.
Yeah. He's absolutely brilliant. I think we need to keep hold of him. But yeah, we actually don't think we need to sign that many players, to be honest. I think we've got a good squad. I mean, I'll tie back everything he said about Jonathan Lico. Bloody frustrating. He's got all the talent in the world.
Don't have to tell me to.
He hasn't got a brain. It's so frustrating to watch. You just want to grab him and take him, just do the simple thing. Stop trying to be better than you are. It's frustrating. But yeah, I mean, we need probably a backup centre half, an holding midfielder, or a centre mid who can actually pass the ball. Sunich runs round. He's like a Robbie Savage. He'll run round all day and just win the ball back and just pass it to someone more creative. We've got wingers in Halilovic, who obviously can play beyond the striker as well. Sanchez, Bella. We probably need another striker. Lico isn't good enough from what I've seen. Maybe with a pre-season under his belt, he can play a part. We need a backup striker, I think. We've got Hogan and Duke, and that's it. The jury's still out on Cosgrove.
Something that I have actually read this afternoon, I don't know how true it is, but you've actually been linked with Jack Wilshere.
I don't know why anyone would go there.
I haven't seen that, and I wouldn't want Jack Wilshere.
I don't think anyone would want Jack Wilshere.
I don't believe that. Where have you seen it?
Obviously on the old tweet, on the old tweeter. He's out of contract. He's been released by Bournemouth, isn't he?
Has he? It's wages. We don't pay more than 15 grand for players now a week, so I can't see that happening at all.
I think it's someone just getting a bit carried away with themselves, in there really. So one of the things, obviously, we did want to discuss quickly then, and that was over the past few weeks, few podcasts, we've all sort of nailed our colours to the coffin, who we fancy for the Champions League final this Saturday. Form going into it suggesting that Chelsea are pretty much on the slide. They have beaten City twice in the last few weeks, obviously the FA Cup semi-final and then the league encounter. I'll just hand this over to you boys to bring this one in, because I'm a little bit on the fence a little bit now. I was very pro Chelsea, but I'm having second thoughts. So you boys.
I think I've always said City. Yeah, I think City were in banging form.
I think I said Chelsea last time. I can't remember, but it's going to be City. I don't think there's. I mean, who are we kidding?
You just never know. Will Pep overthink it? I don't know. He might do. But if Pep puts an 11 out that, the standard 11, I think there's no reason why he won't beat that Chelsea team. I think Chelsea struggle to score goals. And I think City will score goals. So, it's going to be one of them.
I think it's going to be a stinker, either.
It will be. It'll be like a 0-0 until the end, and then someone will score. Always is when two English teams play. Like that last one, was it Spurs-Liverpool? Was a dreadful game.
Shocking, man.
There hasn't been, you know what, to be honest, when was the last good Champions League final? Because last year's was poor as well.
Oh, that's a good point. It's probably the Liverpool one, wasn't it, when Gareth Bale scored that overhead kick? That was a cracking game. Karius made mistakes, didn't he?
Yeah. Score predictions then, guys?
1-0 City.
2-0 City, yeah. Mahrez will score bang on.
I'm gonna follow you in, boys. I'm gonna go 1-0 City in a stinker.
Yeah.
Penalty, yeah. Classic.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, the man informs Mahrez, so I'm gonna stick my neck on the block and go for a scorecast and go for Man City 1, Chelsea 0, Riyad Mahrez to score.
Yeah, Mahrez will score. Maybe Foden as well.
That'd be great. That would be great.
We've got quite a few English players, haven't we, played in it? So it's good. It's good going ahead to the Euros. If none of them get injured, that is. We have a disaster and John Stones gets injured, then cancel the Euros. We can't have Maguire and Stones out, can we?
Oh, God, what we're going to end up with is a centre-half, Mings and Cody.
Well, yeah, I'll support Scotland.
Oh, dear.
Right. They're going to do us, by the way, Scotland.
Yeah, they are. 100%. I said the same at work the other day.
Friday night as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it Hampden or Wembley?
It's at Wembley.
Is it?
Yeah. Looking forward to 2 weeks on Sunday in it, first game. Bring it on.
Is it Croatia?
Yep. Croatia, first game, 2 o'clock on the Sunday.
We should beat Croatia.
Did ask you for your predictions the other day. Who you reckon will win the Euros? Just in a word, give me a country.
Us.
Portugal.
England.
Sticking with Belgium. Sticking with Belgium.
Always the bridesmaid, Belgium.
I
Yeah.
think so, but Spain were for
Belgium's
years and years
time's
and years,
gone.
weren't they? And then all of a sudden they just clicked into gear and won 3 on the spin, didn't they? I
I'm with you that Lukaku will be golden boot, I think, though.
think that's
Mhm.
cracky. I think
Terrorised the
15
group
to 2.
stage.
I think 15 to 2 is an absolute it's a
Mhm.
steal.
Can't ever rule out Big Harry, though, can you? I don't think he'll score. He's guaranteed to score goals.
Absolutely, but I just think that Belgium will go all the way to the end, whereas I think we'll probably, I mean, you look at the route, I mean, I'd fancy us to win the group, and then we're going to be playing one of France, Germany, or Portugal, aren't we?
You don't want to play Portugal. I'd take Germany, but you don't want to play Portugal at France at that stage, do you? I don't think.
Well,
I don't care
you'll be
if
playing the
I-
runs up. You'll be playing the runs up. When I mean, to come second, you'd be playing a lot of a weaker opponent as such. But we've been here before. We've had a weak route to the final, and we've come up against an half decent team and had our asses handed to us.
Yeah. I honestly don't think it matters who we play. To be honest, we should be beating everyone. We're better than them.
I don't know. I think France, Belgium, maybe Portugal are probably better than us, I think.
I think
We'll
you can
see.
write off Spain or Germany. I just think you can put them in the bin.
Yeah.
Straight away. I think I think looking at the Belgium and France prices for me, I think you can pick up 6 to 1 a piece on them. Personally, I think if you put a tenner on both of them, you're not going to walk away without money in your pocket. I just don't see how one of them two doesn't win it.
Always hope, though. I think we're as strong as we've probably ever been. So, if we don't make it to semi-finals, it's disappointing, I think.
I think if we don't make it to the final, it's a failure.
Interesting.
Be interesting. It will be good.
We
Sets
can
us
review
up
as the
well.
tournament goes on anyway. We can have live podcasts as the days and the games go on and the days commence. But yep, for me, I'm going Belgium, Lukaku, top scorer.
Portugal, Lukaku.
Probably got to go England, Kane, haven't I, really? Because if we're going to get to the final, then Kane's probably going to be the top scorer.
So, yeah, we'll be celebrating if that comes in, monetary.
Right, gents, it's been an absolute pleasure having you back
I'll be
on.
on a table somewhere.
Fantastic. So, yep, we'll pick up soon and we'll do another podcast in the coming days, obviously, when Gareth does take off his 7.
And when big Chris Wilder gets announced at the Hawthorns.
And Nuno makes a dramatic comeback to the Molyneux.
It's not Pock.
Just don't get me started on that. Right, as always, thanks a lot, and please like and subscribe and leave your comments in the section below.
Okay.